They are the ones who reach the highest altitudes, the ones who inspire us to evolve, to grow and to shine.
think independently. When he told you to do something, you not sit there and try to watch what you are doing. You just come for the result, and that was it. So he really encouraged innovation. And through that, I think a lot of things were done. We celebrated a number of successes. And where things did not work, you'd be part and parcel of the solutions and ensure that the key learnings were actually documented. What I remember, Marceline, the day of the cutover, it was the 1st of April. I said, by midnight, we'll do the cutover. And, you know, everyone thought it was a joke, and especially when it's the 1st of April. So people think it's a what? It's a fool's day. So when it didn't we didn't succeed by midnight, then we got a lot of responses even from social media. You know, now we just knew this thing was a scam. There's nothing like that. And until about 4 a.m., that's when the systems came up and you could be able to book. And you know, all that night he was there. Yeah, he stayed with us the whole night, ensured we got pizzas and things like that. So having said so, we learned also a number of things as well. Like one of the things we did learn is that when you are faced with an issue, we had a lot of challenges, of course, with the regulators and also with some of the things we wanted from KQ. And one of the things he taught us, Teddy, you are around here, you are the head of legal, and one of the things he would tell us is, you know what, do the right thing and apologize later. Even if you don't have permission from KQ, you get it done, and then we are going to apologize later. And that way we got a lot of headways going forward. And talking about now the culture that we have today, I think it started, from there, the culture of a family and also family business, such that Jambojet, you know, had a number of us in it, but we are all one people. We were focused on one thing, and Willem made us believe in the business that we were running, and somehow in a way things used to work out. Even where they were delayed, definitely at the end of the day they would be accomplished. And that's now where we have learned the issue of sharing the meals that I just said, and you know, the issue of appreciating each other when things are happening, are going on well, and you know, and you would be able to get people to actually get together, even sometimes for no very good reason per se, but yeah, people would just get together and be able to celebrate some of those particular small things. Even in the meetings that we had, Karanja, you remember some of those things that we meet, and we'll be able to bet the figures for the following week, and you would get a gift. And I remember I was not very good in RM, I can tell you, but at one point I just guessed and I got it right, and I have a castle that, you know, that used to give is still in my house. I still remember to enable me to remember him. So a lot can be said, and we had moment together, and the things that we are seeing today, the foundation is the leadership of Willem, whom we can say actually is a great corporate leader, and also a great magenta leader for that matter. And the culture that we have today is founded from what he brought up, because if we came with what we were in KQ, we'd not be where we are. So one of the things that happened when we came here is to actually, he takes you through the process of deculturalization from KQ. Don't think like KQ. If you think like KQ, you're going to fail. But if you think differently, I think you are going to succeed. So we are to shed all the thoughts of KQ, including the big offices that we had in KQ. One day someone came to visit me here and found me seated where William Kahiga used to sit, just behind me was a server room. He's like, "Hey, Mshiri, is it you?" And then we remember in our offices we used to have a very big office with a big desk and a tea with a flask somewhere in a corner, replenished both at 10 o'clock and 4 p.m. So, but we came to realize the issue is not where you are sitting; it is what you are doing whenever you are sitting where you are sitting. So let me say in finality, as I close, that we're going to miss Willem a lot, and we have lost a great man, and he'll forever be in our minds for as long as we live. but all is not lost. The good thing about it, there are so many to Willems who have been left here, who are going to progress the work that he began he began within this particular organization and for the future of the generations that are to come. So may the Lord rest his soul in eternal peace. Thank you.
Those gifts Shiri was talking about. I carried mine because I didn't eat pancakes. I don't think I came the time for pancakes, but I came the time for these houses. And I was new as well. I didn't know a lot about guessing the number of passengers you're going to carry in a month. Was it number of passengers, yeah? Yeah, number of passengers per month. So we used to guess every single beginning of the month. We would appreciate the one who got the number right the previous month, and then we will guess for the following month. And at the end of that, and he had a book that he used to record all the numbers, what people said. When you go around the table, all of you have to say the number. So I was lucky because it was a lucky guess. And you know how you guess? You look at Karanja's number, you look at Rabia's number, and then you guess somewhere close there. Because they were the two who actually knew, these numbers. So one of those days, or twice actually, I guessed those numbers correctly, and I have my two houses. I think one was taken from me, but I had two of these from him. So that also just shows how he used to recognize and reward his people and the people he worked with. It was really exciting. It was very competitive. So it's a very nice thing that we had. Anybody else who wants to share? Yes.
Good afternoon once more. Yes, yes, I think as we've said, we've come to celebrate. Sometimes people go to mourn, but me, I've come to celebrate the life of Mr. Willem, because to me, he's a mentor. He has helped me to reach where I am today. And as the rest of the team who participated in the startup of Jumbo Jet have said, I remember when this project was being started, I had been proposed in another project we were doing. We had a project for a new flight planning system in Kenya Airways, and I was in that project. And then when this other project came, I was withdrawn from that project. And I remember, because that time I think we were supposed to go to either Singapore or somewhere to go and benchmark some project. And when I was withdrawn there, I was not very happy because I didn't know. Now you are removing me from a project that is supposed to take me to Singapore. Why? Then I was told now, Kenya Airways want to start a low-cost carrier and we want to take you there. I think my boss said that he thinks that is the right place for me. I didn't know what is there for me, but I reluctantly accepted. And then when I came, when we met with Mr. Willem, and he gave us the vision that he has, and how he thinks it is going to work, I think it changed my mindset. And I bought into the project. I became part of the team. I was to represent flight operations in the project. And I can say many things have changed in my life since that time. And the kind of a person I was then, and how I was taking life then, I think I have changed because of the culture that Mr. Willem instilled in me and in the team. He was a person of humor. I know some people may not know, but I still remember the stories that he used to give us. I remember one time he was telling us when he was a load master in an airline. And after they had loaded I don't know whether it is loading or offloading an aircraft, he decided to take a nap in the cargo hold. And one of the naughty staff came and locked him inside. Here for some time, And now he was trying to imagine when this aircraft takes off and goes to another place, how he's going to serve there, because maybe I don't know whether the cargo hold was pressurized. But later on, he came and opened for him. He used to share with us stories, and we used to enjoy them. So I still remember a man, a father to me, a father figure, who helped me to overcome my fears. Of course, as Mushiri was saying, for you to make a decision that, yes, I am going to resign from Kenya Airways and establish airline, international carrier, to come to a place you don't know, it needs courage. You see, it's like the way Joshua was being taught by Moses, be strong and of good courage, be frightened not, for the Lord your God is with you. I think that is what Mr. Willem was speaking to us, that don't be afraid, I know it is going to work. And he had so much conviction that this project is going to work, that he was able to convince us. You know, most of us, we heard the history of Flamingo that was there, and then it collapsed. So, of course, I know it can collapse like the other one, but he was able to convince us and to help us understand that the fact that Flamingo collapsed does not mean this one is going to work. And even if it is not going to work, it will be well with you. And that's why we agreed to move to and burn the bridges. Because, yes, you were expected to write a resignation letter from KQ. I still have my retirement card from KQ that I was given at that very tender age. But because of Mr. Willem, I had the courage today to write and say, from today I am resigning from Kenya Airways. And I moved on. When I look the far I am, I still believe that if I was in Kenya Airways, I would not be where I am. I would still be down there trying to find my way, trying to find my space. But because of Willem, I am where I am. I'm able to make better decisions. One thing with Willem is that he believed in people. He believed in his people. He would give you opportunity to make very big decisions. I remember the first time when we were operating the Boeing fleet, and there's some time we had some challenges with the fleet maintenance, and we had passengers, but we did not have equipment to operate. And Willem calls me and tells me that just call the operators at Wilson Airport and see if you can get an aircraft to come and operate. So I was thinking, me to call the operators and to look for the aircraft to operate for us. And he said, yes, just look, call an operator and see if they have an aircraft that can come and operate for us. We are going to draft a quick lease agreement for us to be able to operate. And I tell you, we did that. And the people at Wilson, I remember HLS, 748 and other carriers, they used to think that I am a very senior person in Jumbo Jet because I could make such a decision, calling and saying that we need an aircraft to come and operate for us, and giving them assurance that we are going to pay for the lease. Why? Because he trusted in me and he empowered me to be able to make decisions. And that's why even currently when I'm making decisions, even if they are decisions that will have maybe some implication in the Kanban, so long as I know I am doing the right thing, I will not fear. Sometimes I know I will not have to call Mr. Karanja, tell him, Karanja, I think we need to cancel this flight because of A, B, C, D. No, I'm not saying I don't need to, but I know he has empowered me to be able to make the right decision for the Kanban, of course, following the laid down procedures. So I think where I am, it is because of Willem. Where Jumbo Jet is because of what he did to all of us, to the leadership, and even up to the lowest person in the rank. This is something I usually see everywhere I go because it has helped me a lot. You know, William, for you to go to his office, you didn't need an appointment. You didn't need to pass through the secretary. You just walk in and go and even to just say hi. I always say this because I remember I said it the other time that my wife, where she works, and she's a manager like me, but she has never stepped in the office of the CEO because of the protocols that are there for you to reach the CEO. You can take even 3 months to get that appointment if it will ever come. But because of the culture that he left in Jambojet, even today when I am passing through the corridors, I can just decide to go inside and say hi to Karanja. Not because I have something to say, but because of the culture that he has instilled in us, that you don't have to fear the people in leadership because they are your colleagues. He taught us that we are colleagues. There is no boss and subjects. We are all equal and we are running towards the same cause. And therefore, this man, he has left a legacy. Even though he is gone, he is still very much alive. In Jambojet, and I believe in every other organization where he got an opportunity to impact the people. And therefore, for me, I thank God for the legacy he has left. I know somebody can live for 120 years, but even you struggle to write a statement of 10 words. Because yes, they lived for long, but no legacy that has been left. Somebody else can live for 10, 20 years, but the legacy they leave, it is so rich that people will write volumes and volumes of books because of what they have done. And that is who Willem is. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. And indeed, his legacy lives on. Jambojet is here to stay. And yes, he was here, he is here, and he will always be here. I know you can see some strange faces here, so I want to invite one of the strange faces to some of you to come and also say something.
Unlike Mushiri and Joseph, who had to decide whether they want to join Jambojet, what would it be like working for Willem, I came on board knowing him, and I came because of him. I knew how he works, and I knew I'd be in good hands here. On one hand, there was Dirk of Kinyaris, trying to pull me on that side, but it was Willem who won, and that's him. This is a little letter I've written for Henriette and sent it to her. It's a letter to Willem, actually. One of your most amazing qualities was that once you had a project on hand, you made sure you went to all lands to make it work. You were resourceful, highly knowledgeable in all your areas, thought out of the box, took risks but calculated ones. But your most amazing quality was have you got people from all different backgrounds and made them work as a team. You were inclusive, serious, had fun and laughter. You empowered people, challenged them, and let them grow. Your monthly guessing game, like the one everyone mentioned, at the commercial meeting was so you, and you never forgot to bring the prize. Often you had a twinkle in your eye, and that told us that you had come up with another crazy idea. Having known you for over 30 years, I say fare thee well with sadness. May your soul rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Parul. And thank you for coming as well.
I'm Parul.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh, you didn't introduce yourself.
I joined Jambojet as a marketing consultant before it started. So I think it was November 2013 or October 2013, and was on board for about 5 years.
Yeah. Thank you, Parul. So you can see we have big shoes to fill, which we are still trying to live up to as well. The two great minds in Jambojet marketing. I want to welcome anybody else who also wants to say something. Yes, Karibu Maureen.
I'm told we have Willem Letts, so I'm sure Willem's spirit is going to live with us for a long time. Will not go, actually. Yeah. So today we stand here to honor and to celebrate a great mind, a great soul, a great person. Willem loved from within. He truly loved, you know. Director, but when you look at a person and you look at what Willem was and just the spirit behind him and the way he believed in this project, there's really no way you would not want to be part of Willem's team. He won you, he carried you, you were submerged in his spirit, you know. You just have to get the thing going. You had no alternative but to deliver because of the trust he had in you. Willem made you believe in yourself. Willem made you know you will deliver. There's really no option to it. And he won't doubt what you're saying. And for that reason, you won't fail Willem. You won't fail Willem. You know, and the trust he gave you as a person, coming and sitting by your desk and listening to you and listening to your challenge and just help you navigate. One great thing about Willem, he would ask you the what if questions, you know. Yeah, this is what you're thinking. What if? So it'd always make you, you know, join the dots. Think beyond what you want to do. There are things that could go wrong. And if anything went wrong, what's your fallback? So Willem grew us. So when they say that Willem grew us, he really did. And the one thing I know about Willem, he would give you a task, knowing you're going to try. He didn't know what was going to come out of it, but he would be behind you. He was a force. Like, I think somebody said that Willem would tell you, go and do it, and then we will mend the relationships later. That alone would give you that energy to try. And so innovation in Jambojet would live on. So Karanja, you have big shoes to fit into. He kept us. You would innovate and you'd think through and you'd research and you'd come and ask you, did you check with this? Willem would open doors for you. If you're trying to do something and people are not answering you, he would walk with you to that office. You know, that was Willem. And I remember when we were bringing in the Q400s and KQ didn't trust in us at all. They didn't think this was the aircraft to take. But Willem told us, we're going, you know. So we were crushed as a team when we were coming back. But just looking at how he was and just telling us, you know, we definitely are getting this aircraft going. And we did. Despite all, we did. And Willem didn't, he would listen to you when you're speaking, and you'd know that Willem is engaged. He would not brush you aside. Willem would never brush you aside. However difficult the discussion was, and even if you challenge him, one of the things I learned about him is humility. You know, if Willem made a decision and it was a wrong decision, he was the first one to accept that the decision he made was wrong. And he would go, you know, yeah, the Willem, yeah, you know. Yeah, I agree, yeah. That was really dumb of me, but it would. He accepts it and you take off and you go. So he gave us that confidence to make mistakes and you learn from your mistakes. He also gave us the environment for you to be able to, you know, you made a mistake, you come back and you say, yeah, this is a mistake, I thought about it this way. And he would take it on, like, okay, so what next? The one thing I learned about Willem is when things were most hard, that's when a leader is supposed to be most calm. So we are having disruptions, and you're looking at it, and he like, okay, they're doing their best. So what you need to do is just remain calm and pick it up from there and show them that they're doing what needs to be done and believe in what they're doing. And that's something that as a leader, you really just got to do. One aspect about Willem, I say the leader, he is an authentic leader at its best. You don't need to read a book to know what authentic leadership is. Look at Willem's life, look at what he did, look at how he made decisions, look at how he carried himself, and you'd know what it takes to be an authentic leader. Yeah? You would know. Willem challenged us to be authentic leaders. Be open, say what you want to say, mean what you say, and follow through with what you say you will do. He didn't need to doubt you. Like I said before, we were consumed in Jambojet spirit because of Willem. Yeah? There's not a single day while I was in Jambojet that I ever thought I wanted to go back to KQ. It just didn't cross my mind. Many of the heads there would be like, are you sure, Maureen? And I'm like, from what I see, I think I'm sure. Yeah? And yes, this is why we're who we are. This is why we have thrived. And one of the things I learned from Willem, you have a vision. If you believe in it, you will resonate with the people you pick. Pick your people right and get them to believe in what you're believing in, yeah? And they will work with you. Trust in what you've given them. Help them. Open the doors for them to deliver what they had promised that they would deliver. You will get your vision at home, back at home. And we are where we are today. Willem left us 5 years back, and we have done a lot within these 5 years. And when I sent his wife a message, and she like, yes, Maureen, it was very, very fast. Willem was one person I would always call whenever I was in Amsterdam, talk with him, share with him, And even when I told him, Willem, I'm getting into retirement, Willem would encourage you, Like one of the things are like, okay, Maureen, I know you have your family away. Are you leaving? And he'll tell me, I don't think it's the right time for you to leave Africa. Africa still needs you. That's how much Willem would believe in the passion that you have. He read you, accepted you for who you are. So as we live here, this is somebody I will miss at an individual level and as a leader. Out of my many years of work, this is the one manager I did not have to manage. I did not manage Willem. Willem was a colleague, Willem was a friend, yeah? I didn't need to manage him. You would tell Willem what you need to tell him as you need to tell him, the dash that he is. I remember one of the things I told him, Willem, if you can't take feedback straight up, let me stay in KQ. They've understood who I am. And he said, I'm Dutch. And I'm like, I'm more Dutch than you. So he says, okay, let's see who's Dutch. So it made my life very easy in Jambojet. We would engage, we would disagree, we would agree, we would move. And that's the life I've enjoyed my stay in Jambojet. And Karanja, even as I retire, Jambojet is going to be my baby like it was for Willem. Always in my heart. I'll miss Willem. Thanks.
Thank you, Maureen. And we have someone who wrote their tribute that they wanted to be read here. So Rene will do that for us.
Good evening, everybody. I'll be reading Rabia's tribute. She wasn't here, but she has written a heartfelt tribute. So, in loving memory of Willem, your leadership was a beacon of inspiration, guiding us with wisdom, kindness, and unwavering dedication. Your legacy of compassion and excellence will forever live on in our hearts and will continue to do. Rest in peace, knowing you made a profound difference in our lives. Reflecting on the past, I'm flooded with appreciation for the moments that shaped our journey together. His kindness knew no boundaries. He opened doors of opportunities, guiding me in RM. His support extended beyond the workplace, securing our provident funds and granting us access to KQ body passes. But what truly touched my heart was unwavering faith in me, a belief that fueled my determination and inspired me to reach for the stars. You will be deeply missed, but your spirit will forever inspire us to strive for greatness. With heartfelt gratitude and respect, Rabs.
Thank you. Yeah, Rabia is in training, so she couldn't be here. And I just wanted to read also one of the notice that we prepared for Willem, just for everybody's benefit. It is with profound sadness and a heavy heart that we inform you of the death of our former CEO, Mr. Willem Hondius, which occurred on Sunday, 14th April 2024. Willem was taken ill early last month and he fought bravely to the end. In his tenure as Jambojet CEO from 2014 to 2019, Willem was instrumental in steering the foundation of Jambojet into the Kenyan market by putting up the necessary building blocks that have made the airline what it is today. His passion for people, customers, steadfast vision, coupled with his very vast experience in the aviation industry, propelled the airline to immense success shortly after beginning operations. Willem was a stout leader who didn't shy away from imparting knowledge traits to the entire team, those who had the privilege of knowing him. Willem also served as an executive director in the Jambojet board and also as the chairman of the strategy committee until his demise. We will truly miss his witty and genuine sense of humor, in addition to the numerous contributions he made to the company and region as a whole. Each of us is not only grieves at the passing of a tremendous individual, but also the loss his family suffers. Willem was led to rest on 22nd April in the Netherlands, and we sent you a link to a card that you can leave your messages, which we'll later share with the family. And on behalf of the entire Jambojet team, our heartfelt condolences to his family, colleagues, friends, and those who knew and loved him dearly. And our thoughts and prayers are with you all during this difficult time. May he rest in peace. At this moment, I'd like to welcome Karanja.
Thank you, Cynthia. I think before I speak, I know there's a person who registered Jambojet, and she's seated here, and she's the one who was going through the contracts way before with Willem. So Teddy.
Thank you, Karanja. I thought I was hiding. But anyway, my name is Teddy Osir. I was in the KQ group for many years, before some of you were born. And I was in KQ, I left 2018, so now I'm in practice. Let me speak about Willem. I've known Willem way before many of you did, apart from maybe Maury. When Willem came to KQ, he was part of the KLM group. At that time, I was in KQ Legal, so most of the contracts we did with Willem. One thing that always struck me about Willem, he was so passionate about whatever he did. And, you know, his turnaround time was like, I want this yesterday. And also, when Willem came, for us who are, like us from banking, he taught us so much about aviation. We had questions, but Willem would take the time, teach you about commercial things, what's an SPA, GSA, why do you have overrides, blah, blah, blah. So Willem was such a wonderful teacher, so patient, so I don't know, how do I explain? So knowledgeable and so passionate about everything he did. And that time when we started the KLM, KQ, whatever, alliance relationship, there was a lot of, you know, people were a bit suspicious of each other. But with Willem, he was, yes, from KLM, but he was always on KQ's side. So he was somebody you could easily trust at a very short notice, and he was just, I don't know, he was just bigger than life. So would, you know, and not only from a working perspective, but also from a friendship point of view. Even as you say, he used to bring you goodies and all that when he travels, chocolates and all those things. He started that way before. You're talking about the 90s. Because I joined KQ in around 96, 97. And I think 97 is when we started the KLM, KQ, whatever, alliance. So that's how far back I've known Willem. Then straight, fast forward, Flamingo. you know the story about Flamingo. It tried with the famous subs, then it didn't last very long, then Jambojet took over. Then I was the company secretary for Jambojet, and in legal, I was in charge of the Jambojet legal work. So with Willem, we set up the new company Jambojet, did the change of name from Flamingo to Jambojet, had the first board meeting, did the first contracts, the same passion. It was just always such a fun time working with Willem. But KQ is a busy place. So Willem, when business started, he had this thing. He'd send you an email with a contract. Before you even open the email, he's at your door knocking. I need that contract. I said, Willem, please give us time. We have a tenor, we have an SLA. Give us 2-3 days, we'll come back to you. He said no. So he'd wait, and then it reached a point where when Willem was in such a hurry, he'd do this. He'd say, Teddy, I've made it easy for you. I've drafted a contract, this is the template. I said, Willem, you're not a lawyer, and it's so wrong, this template. Then he says, okay, let's agree with you. For simple contracts, just give me templates, I'll come fill it up, and then if it's okay. He would never say that. Willem would never lose. He was like always ahead of him. So I'd say, okay, Willem, you can do that, but okay, take this template, fill it, but don't do anything with it. You come back to me, I check it before it's signed off. So we had that kind of relationship. Then until a time I got too busy, and I think many of you know Laura. I told Laura, take over, do this aircraft stuff, because I had a lot of experience in aircraft, because I'd worked on the 787 and that kind of thing. I mentored Laura. I said, Laura, work with Willem, and Willem was very happy with her, and then it went on like that. So when I heard of Willem's passing, it was really sad, not only for me. So many of us who are in KQ, we have a group, many of them were heads. You're talking about Alex, Jimmy Kibati, some of you know, and even Titus Naikuni. I mean, everybody was like, oh, that is so, so sad. Titus in particular was really, really sad, because he worked with Willem a lot, and I think once a week Titus would come and have a meeting with Willem, and everybody had such great things to say about Willem. He's left a huge legacy. Some of us know how Jambojet started. We're really proud to see how Jambojet has grown. You guys are very fortunate. You have a strong foundation. You have the best people. KQ is like the one who has taught everybody, including your boss, Karanja. We were in KQ with you. KQ raised all of us, and we are now benefiting other people. So we are very grateful for all we learned. I mean, sometimes you meet people, they're only with you for a season, and there's a reason for that. But we are really grateful for what Willem was to us, what he taught us, what he showed us about work, the values he had. And we really feel for the family. We send our sincere condolences to the family. I can just only imagine how they're feeling, the loss they've had to have such a father figure. I know when he had his first granddaughter, Willem was so excited. I mean, he would always talk about it when he's flying back to see the little, it was a daughter, right? He was so, so happy. So I can only imagine how the family must be feeling at such a time. All we can do is just think of them, send them thoughts of love, and just pray for them. And we thank God for the life he gave Willem. There's a reason why it all happened, but we'll never forget Willem. He's left us such fond memories. And so for you who've been left behind, I can only encourage you to take the legacy forward, have the same work discipline, the same passion, and at the end of the day, it's all about, just doing your best and just staying focused, having integrity, and then supporting your leadership. I'm not campaigning for Karanja. I know him, and I know he has all the good support. Just support your leadership, because you guys have such a great product, and I know you'll go far. So thank you for giving me the opportunity just to talk about Willem, and all the best as we continue without him. Thank you.
Thank you, Teddy. Okay, before I invite Caroline, what I would want to say is that initially I was not supposed to join JumboJet, but Willem was asked, go, there's a gentleman there, he will help you in setting up the finance department. And after setting up, I was told it's time. My boss calls me and says, okay, you finished. I would work here, I would be KQ for 4 days and 1 day here. So after finishing, and I actually went to Willem and asked Willem, for the finance person, what are you looking for? So he told me, I need this, to have done this, to have done flown. If it was not for people, the vision of Willem, Parul. And I was telling, you were saying, when we were doing the next 10 years, what will be our rallying call for the next 10 years? And I remember telling people, the team, I'll call Willem to tell me which tree he sat under to come up with this, because it lived, that rallying call lived to it. Rallying call that now we have now, it's more than a journey. I believe that that will live to the next 10 years. Many people did not believe about this project, but Willem convinced us. I looked at it and said, no, I don't want to go back. I remember us taking that walk that way from here, as able to hide his disappointment when he trusted you and you let him down. He would tell him, Willem, no, you don't tell people. No, you tried it this way. And he would say as it is. And I learned to be very open and candid. One of the things that he started a culture. The culture that we have here. I was telling the people, every Monday at 9 a.m., I would have a meeting at 10. I would have a meeting with him to review the previous week's performance. We would have finished the financials between 8 and 9:30. Finished the performance of the previous week, shared with him, and at 10 I'll be seated with him, without fail. I brought that earlier to 9:30, so Ida does it faster. We meet at 9. So you find those traditions. The time we used to meet with the commercial team, with the RM, is the same time that we meet. When you look at all these are flowers that we did not buy. Willem just came one day and just brought all these flowers and he planted. So there's a culture that he brought in, that of openness, working as a team, being honest. He was a man of integrity. That one, there was no separation. I was sharing with Caroline the other day, where when I was a CFO, one of my friends got in trouble. And he was a CFO of one of the parastatals. And when I went to see him, and he would tell me, I did these things because I was pushed. I signed these documents, and money left the company. But he had to spend 4 days behind bars. So I remember getting him a ticket to come back to Nairobi, because no one was around him. So when he came and we sat, I looked at him. That made me appreciate Willem as my boss. Because as a finance person, Willem never ever told me to try do anything that would take any resources of the company. He was an honest man, and as an accountant, I really appreciated, because I never had to think twice. I knew this man was clean, was a man of integrity, and we continued being, and that is, he was present. Willem was even after Willem left, even after Willem left, he asked, how are people doing? How are you doing? Even with the board, I think there's a time that I was quite encouraged by the board, was constant check on the company, and just checking on how everyone is. One thing that I can say is that even with my constant checks, when I would get stuck, he was one of the people I'd call. He was in this industry for over 40 years. He never turned me away. He would always listen, but he was always a call away whenever I reached out. There was, of course, on that, because the space here is limited. By the time we are finishing the board, I would always drive him here to come say hi to people and drive him back. And he always used to, I'll be inviting these people for dinner now, because, but he cared. He would always follow and check on how each one of the people that he knew. So for me, it was a blessing knowing Willem. I knew he was very honest, and whatever is not working, he would tell me as it is. When I'm wrong, he would tell me as it is. And for me, he was not only my boss, but he became a very good and true friend. One of the days that we agreed that I know Willem loved his family. Just as Teddy says, on Tuesday was a day that he used to spend with his grandchildren, especially once they've closed. They would always, the whole day, morning, and he would. So I never used to touch his Tuesdays. So I knew that was a day that he would spend, him and his wife Harriet, they would spend with his grandchildren. And Willem, when he opened up to you, he fully, Sile Mulango Nusu, he fully opened and up and shared. And even toward the end, yes, he did his very best, but he was a man who never wanted to be seen to be in pain. He cared. He never wanted you to carry his burden. For me, honestly, to the family, my heartfelt condolences to his wife Harriet and the family. That was a gentleman that they gave, and they shared Willem with us. They did not share nusu nusu; it was full. And for me, I wish him fare thee well, Willem, and may your soul rest in peace. Because he was a good friend. To me, he was a mentor. He was my mentor, and I'm honored. I'll always be honored to have worked, to have known him, and I'm one person I can say he poured everything. I don't think he left anything. He poured anything and everything that he thought we required, that I required. He poured it to me. So I'll always be grateful. Before I invite Caroline as our board members, I know the chairman was to give his statement, but he had come in at around 3:30 and was getting to a meeting at 4. But his message is this, that he knew Willem way before Jumbo Jet was started, because he was part of the board that approved the establishment of Jumbo Jet. But he knew Willem as a man of integrity. It didn't matter whether he was alone, but Willem shared his views. Whether you liked it or not, he said as it was. And every time when chairman would ask him what is your view on this? Willem would always give his true and honest view. If he didn't know, he would always tell him, I'll get back to you on this one. But whatever he knew, it was an honest view. And the chairman never ever doubted his view, because over time he got to know him as a man of integrity, a man who said as it is, and he knew about his love for Jambo Jet. So he says he's lost a friend, because they also became very good friends. I know we were planning, as he was coming from the US, we were to meet in Amsterdam and visit Willem. That was about 2 weeks from now. Little did we know that it wasn't going to happen. But he says he's done his part, and he feels he's lost a supporter and a friend. So at this moment, allow me to invite Caroline.
Hi all. So I'm Caroline Armstrong. I'm one of the board members for Jambo Jet. And because the chairman hasn't had the opportunity to speak, and I know Cynthia did go through one of the announcements that was made, but I'd like to share part of what the chairman shared with the board. Okay. Now, what's interesting is I tend to speak a lot, but when I found out that Willem had passed, it took me half a day before I could actually even speak to Karanja. Okay? So it was very surprising how shocked I was and how speechless I was. But this is just a little bit of the message, but it'll tell you a lot about how the board feels about him. As we all know, Willem was instrumental in steering the foundation of Jambo Jet into the Kenyan market by putting up the necessary building blocks that have made the airline what it is today. His passion for people, customers, steadfast vision, coupled with his vast experience in the aviation industry, propelled the airline to immense success shortly after starting our operations. Willem was a stout leader who didn't shy away from imparting knowledgeable traits to the entire team and those who had the privilege of knowing him. We are immensely grateful for his service to the airline and will continue to hold his memory in high esteem as a driving force in our operations. We will truly miss his witty and genuine sense of humor, in addition to the numerous contributions he made to Jambo Jet and the region as a whole. Each of us not only grieves at the passing of a tremendous individual, but also for the loss his family suffers. So on behalf of the entire team, we extend our sincere and heartfelt condolences to his family, friends, colleagues, and those who knew and loved him dearly. Our thoughts and prayers are with you all at this difficult time. I just thought it was important to share that because there's some thoughts in there that are also the opinion of the board. Now I'm going to speak for myself, okay? The first thing that I've struggled to get out of my head is the image of Willem. Now, bizarrely, the image that I have is of him walking, okay? Now, he had a particular gait when he walked, and I always remember his beaded belts, because when he joined the board, he always had beaded belts, okay? What you saw with him was exactly what you got, okay? There was nothing behind the scenes, there was no agenda he wasn't sharing. What you saw was what you got. And two of the things that I always remember distinctly and keep making me smile, every time a board meeting would start, okay, and he would fly in for the board meetings, is he would quickly put on the table 2 packs of this Dutch caramel biscuit, okay? It's called a stroopwafel. And he would put them on the table. So the first few minutes of the meeting were spent with all of us looking at each other for who's going to be the first one to reach for the biscuits, and then who's going to try and open them quietly, okay, because the meeting has started. But he always brought those. And then the other thing that I will always remember is his cigarettes. There was always a break, and we would always call it a health break, a hand washing break. Maybe we need a break, and we always knew what we meant, which was, Willem, do you need a cigarette? So I'll always remember that. And the thing that I like about that is we were board colleagues, and that's how I first met him. But my first memories are his human side, okay? Is the person, not the role. I remember the person, not the CEO. Now that's, oh, sorry, I've just gotten a firewall notification. Clearly the IT department are working hard. There's a couple of things about him, all right, that may have been said, so forgive me if you've heard them and if it sounds dull, but hopefully it won't. The first is his long-term vision, okay? He always saw a very strong future for Jambojet, always, okay? And he never ever stopped focusing on it. So you heard he was the chair of the strategy committee because he was always looking to a bigger, brighter future for Jambojet, and he never stopped believing in it, yeah? And there was a phrase that came to mind, and I've used it myself, but it kind of summed up how he felt, is we didn't come this far to only come this far. And that's exactly how he felt. So every success, every milestone, every million that we did, everything was celebrated, but we didn't come this far to just come this far, okay? So I want all of you to remember that we didn't come this far to just come this far. Okay, that we keep going. And he believed in it completely, and so does the board. Jambojet is one of my favorite board meetings, all right? Because first of all, the culture is completely different. It's very open, it's very fun. Sometimes we disagree and then we work through it, and it's always because of the focus on the airline and its growth and its people and its customers, yeah? So it really is one of my favorite meetings to go to. And least of all because I can even dress differently at these meetings. And that's a brilliant feeling, that it's so completely different from anything that I experience anywhere else. That it is a business that is so worth believing in and so worth protecting. And that's exactly how Willem felt. And he communicated that all the time. And to pick up on something Karan just said, nothing was impossible. And for Willem, that was absolutely true. And it reminds me of something that Mandela said, the impossible is only impossible until it's done. And so whenever you'd hit a roadblock, or we'd hit a, oh wait, hold on a second, or a route wasn't going the way it should be, or something wasn't going right, his go-to behavior is, okay, so what's plan B? What do we do next? Because stopping is just not an option. So what do we do next? He was a constant believer in looking to options, always looking at options. And in doing that, he always made you see something new. So we'd be having a conversation and we'd be going this way, okay? Then Willem would pipe up, okay, and what's that going to do for ancillary revenue? And you all go, oh wow, good point, good point. And so you think you were going this way, and he'd always make you see something different, which also meant that whether you knew it or not, you were growing, and you were learning as a person and therefore as a business. Despite his stature, because I remember the first time I saw him, I supposedly am taller, and then I met Willem. And I was just like, oh, wow, okay. And it was quite intimidating. But despite his stature, he always listened first, then responded. He didn't listen to respond, okay? He listened first and then he responded. But if there was something he believed in or he didn't agree with, he would not let it go. He would fight tooth and nail for it, look at it from different perspectives, and he wouldn't let go of what he believes in, okay? And I hope all of you feel that way about this company too, is don't let go of it, because it really is worth believing in, yeah? He was always happy to teach, but even in his teaching, he never made you feel less than. He never made you feel like you didn't know or you didn't understand, and some of us didn't come from aviation. So it is a complex industry and a hard industry to learn, and you have no choice but to learn it very, very fast. But you never felt less than. And he was always, I mean, he was teaching all the time. Even when he didn't know he was teaching, he was teaching. And he worked and he played, okay? But each of them had its time. So when we were in the meeting, we were in the meeting. And then we would come out and we would have lunch, or if it was strategy sessions, you're doing dinner, whatever it was. And now it was time to play and laugh and have a glass of wine. So he did both, but each of them had their time. Yeah? He loved people, that's been said many times, and he was present in every conversation. So he didn't humor you by listening to you, he was present. Now that is something that as these become more dominant, is people are actually less present. I was asking somebody today, and in my generation, we love to just be able to write off everything and say, oh, that's so Gen Z. Okay? But it is true, like when you ask somebody, when I sit with Gen Zs and their phone pings, and then you watch, and it's almost like this, I have to pick it up, I have to check what that was, I have to check what that was. And when you go, don't touch it, don't you touch it. Okay? It's very difficult because of the ability of being present. It's a skill that's being lost. Willem had it completely. He was present in every single conversation with whoever he was talking to. And he didn't measure people by titles or roles. He measured people as people. Okay? He ate life with a big spoon. So as we said, there was time for work and time for play. And when it was time for play, he ate it with a big spoon. He traveled this country. He knew parts of this country that some of us don't know. When he was with his grandchildren, it was his time. So you were not going to get a slot. You were not going to get a quick 10-minute conversation. It was their time. Okay, so he ate life with a big spoon. And his passion for work and for life were constant, but they were balanced. He loved deeply, and he lived for his family. So he loved and lived for his family. And I remember a moment, we were at a strategy session at the coast. It was group strategy. And I came up to breakfast. And I looked at him, and he was sitting having breakfast with his wife. And they weren't just sort of doing what sometimes couples do, which is literally get through breakfast. You're there to eat the meal. Okay? And I looked at them and just thought, that's really beautiful. And gosh, I hope I have that. That when I'm their age, that I have that. That we're not just eating the food, we're having breakfast together. Okay? So he really did love his family and live for his family. So there is something that came up here, and it said your legacy will remain. And sometimes I think we use the word legacy very loosely. Okay? But he truly built a legacy. There's a difference between a legacy and a lifetime. Okay? And he truly built a legacy. And he built something. He had the courage to build an airline. Okay, some people can hardly have the courage to build a shelf. He built an airline. Okay? And so he built something. So please keep building. You can do it, and you will do it. Keep building. And even in your own lives, build something. And just to finish, he was himself, exclusively himself. And he was true to himself. He was measured, he was passionate, he was nurturing, he was visionary, and he was brave. He was valued, and he always will be. So may his soul and spirit always soar with the angels. Rest in peace.
So much has been said about Willem. Thank you, Caroline, for sharing with us everything that you've shared. It almost feels like we know him, and for all of you for sharing, those who knew him pretty closely. So that brings us to the end, at least, unless you have something else you want to say. We do have another video that we would like to play. I was noting down actually the words that have been said about Willem, and I have so many. A great magenta leader, competitive, culture, the culture of winning, instilling winning, think different, a father figure, brave, courageous, empowering, trusting, integrity, long-term vision, present, balanced life and work. And I don't know who said this one, but they said Willemlets. So I think that's a new one that we are going to keep. Now we are all Willemlets, and we are going to find, well, I'm going to find every opportunity to use it and to remind you that we are Willemlets. Is that Willemlet? And you know me, I do that all the time. And I hope these words have also inspired you to love Jumbo Jet and also live leave a legacy just like Willem has left in whatever you do, and be passionate about it, be present for it. So, because those words truly touched me. Can go.
Here's to the crazy ones, the leaders, the rebels, the high flyers, even the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. Sometimes they're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. They may even insist, "You cuenta cabeza." You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push us forward. They take up life's cockpit. They look at the numbers and believe the sky is just beginning. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, say they're off the flight path, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can fly higher are the ones who do. They are the ones who reach the highest altitudes. The ones who inspire us to evolve, to grow, and to shine.
I have nothing else to add. I will just invite you to tea. I don't have pancakes, and I don't have stroopwafels, but I have mandazi because Willem never left us the recipe, so I don't know how to make those. Divine doesn't know how to make those. So karibuni. You can serve some tea. We also have the condolence book here, so if you haven't had a chance to sign it, you can come, sign it. We will also reshare the link to the virtual card that you can also still continue writing your messages, and we'll share all that with the family. Thank you once again for being here. And before we serve, I would like to ask that Mushiri closes with a word of prayer as he also prays for the tea.
Let's give a good heart clap to Cynthia. She's led as well. Thank you very much. So let's all be upstanding for a word of prayer. Dear Lord, we want to thank you this evening. Thank you for the time we've had to be able to reflect on the time that we had with Willem. Thank you for all the key learnings that we took from him. And thank you for all the values that we learned also from him. And thank you for Jumbo Jet and the Jumbo Jet family. Thank you for the Magenta Fellowship, the Magenta family, and how we pray that all that we learned, the journey that we traveled together, that the impact can be of great value to Jumbo Jet as a family and as a business. That as we've mentioned, this is not the end, but it is a continuation of the journey that we've been undertaking. And Lord, you're going to help us, you're going to strengthen us from within, that we can be able to propel Jumbo Jet to higher heights, that the future generations can read about about our journey, where we have come from, and maintain the temple. Bind us together with cords of love that cannot be broken, and let the life of Willem live on in this family and in the business in the days to come. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And now may the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. God bless us as we partake of the tea together. Thank you.
Here's to the crazy ones, the leaders, the rebels, the high flyers, even the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. Sometimes they're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. They may even insist, "You cuenta cabeza." You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push us forward. They take up life's cockpit. They look at the numbers and believe the sky is just beginning. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, say they're off the flight path, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can fly higher are the ones who do. They are the ones who reach the highest altitudes. The ones who inspire us to evolve, to grow, and to shine. to the crazy ones, the leaders, the rebels, the high flyers, even the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. Sometimes they're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. They may even insist, "You cuenta cabeza." You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push us forward. They take up life's cockpit. They look at the numbers and believe the sky is just beginning. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, say they're off the flight path, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can fly higher are the ones who do. They are the ones who reach the highest altitudes. The ones who inspire us to evolve, to grow, and to shine.